Hello everybody, I wanted to make this personal update video because I have some personal updates for you. My channel has been growing. I make videos that I would be interested in, that I would want to watch, and it seems people like them too. Now I had always told myself that if I hit 50,000 subscribers and I don't have a Patreon yet, I'm an idiot. Well, I'm an idiot. I've surpassed 50,000 subscribers and actually Patreon emailed me, believe it or not, and said, hey man, why don't you have a Patreon? It's a great question, Todd. So, with their help, I finally set one up, and I'm launching that today. If you have any interest and want to support these videos a little further than just watching them, I have 4 different options for you to choose from, depending on what you'd like to contribute. And various perks ranging from involvement in a community that we're building to helping decide what topics to cover in the future, all the way up to shout-outs and even souvenirs from some of the sites that we film. I will say that these videos are very expensive and I'm only barely breaking even. I do them out of the passion and love, and I will continue to do them. But anything that you would like to do to help support these videos in the future will go a long way in helping me make them. I'd actually long hesitated to set up a Patreon account, and this is the first one that I'm really involved in, so I'm still getting my feet wet. Now of course, money is tight for everybody. I certainly understand that. Please only join if you're comfortable and able to and willing to. If you enjoy the videos and you can't support or you simply don't want to, that is perfectly acceptable. I enjoy you watching them. I love your comments, and please do continue to do so. You are under absolutely no obligation to join this Patreon. But anything you can give goes a long way with helping to make these and cover the costs. The next big thing is that tomorrow is actually the 110th anniversary of the sinking of the RMS Titanic. Now, as you know, I have a tradition of hosting a live stream at the exact minute of the anniversary, going through real time while we watch a sinking animation of the ship and narrate it, usually with historians joining in and adding their input. It's a really historical, it's an educational event, and it's a fitting tribute to the lives that were lost that night. This will be my 8th time doing it. I started it 9 years ago and I missed 1 year because I was over in Ireland and couldn't stream. This year, just like last year, it'll be hosted here on this YouTube channel, Part-Time Explorer. You should get a notification if you're subscribed and have post notifications on. We'll be joined by authors J. Kent Layton, Tad Fitch, and Bill Wormstead. They're the authors of On a Sea of Glass and Recreating the Titanic and Her Sisters. The latter book was actually published only a couple of weeks ago. I've got mine in the mail. It is a fantastic book of beautiful illustrations detailing various efforts to recreate the Titanic through digital or even physical media. There's all sorts of fantastic artwork in there, and there's also extensive screenshots from our work and last year's sinking animation. You can get a copy of this book for sale on their website. I'm putting a link in the description down below. Also inside this book is the artwork of Michael Brady of Ocean Liner Designs. He does fantastic technical profile views of ocean liners all throughout history, and he will also be joining us in the live stream, as will Levi Rourke. He is actually the tech director of our Lusitania virtual experience, and we will have some updates for you during that stream after the ship goes down. Do stay tuned for updates, and you will see that going live sometime in advance of the sinking. The Lusitania Museum experience is progressing beautifully. As I said, we will have some updates on it in the Titanic stream tomorrow night. But in the meantime, we're just about finishing up most of the ship, getting into the engine, and one of the biggest and most exciting things of late is that we have an artist who has been making fantastic carvings and moldings that are detailing the ship. 'Cause some of the earlier screenshots that you saw, the carvings were just temporary. They were relatively flat. But now it's starting to pop. Emma has also been working on a lot of textures. We have all the skylights done and all of the fabrics are done. Now she's actually this second working on the privacy screens for first class. I don't believe we're going to actually launch in May. There's still quite a bit that we're doing, but it won't be too much longer after that. I definitely feel like we're in the final months of production. We're all very eager to have it finished and start on the next project. J. Kent Layton and I have a few other projects that we're working on. I'll have more details on those later, but we hope to publish them alongside the Lusitania Virtual Museum experience. Also hope to have an official name for the Lusitania Museum announced soon too. I've put together a video series that are finished and queued up of one specific topic in maritime history. There's at least 4 videos in that series, there might even be a couple more. I hope to publish those throughout May. No, they are not related to the Lusitania, they're another shipping story. That video series is pretty exciting. I think you're going to enjoy it. I'm actually partnering up with a charitable organization and we're trying to do a fundraiser accompanying it. Again, I will have more details as soon as I start publishing that series. Those videos are done, they're queued up. We're just waiting on the charity to wrap up a couple last minute things. I certainly enjoyed making them, I enjoyed researching and studying them, and I enjoyed working with a friend of mine, Liam Sharp, to put together the visual graphics in it. Before I sign off, I have a couple of quick book recommendations that I'd really like you to check out if any of these pique your interest. First off, as I mentioned earlier, is Recreating the Titanic and Her Sisters by J. Kent Layton, Tad Fitch, and Bill Wormstead. The next book is called Into the Danger Zone by Tad Fitch and Mike Poirier. This is about the First World War and the dangers of crossing the Atlantic, stories of the U-boats, the ships that were attacked by them, as well as some very interesting stories that I had never even heard of about the First World War. The Lusitania is in it, the Britannic is in it, and so are other ships that you may recognize. A link to this is down below. The next book is called Understanding J. Bruce Ismay, the story of the man they called the coward of the Titanic. And this is by Cliff Ismay. He's actually a relative of Bruce Ismay, as you may assume by the name. Very often when I talk to somebody who only knows a little bit about the Titanic, and they hear Bruce Ismay, they practically spit at the name. Well, that's unfair. Bruce Ismay has a very interesting story behind him. He's not the cowardly brute that is often made out to be in movies and in musicals. And this book is a great take, shares family stories, further information that was never before published. And if you're one of the people who does actually have that opinion that Bruce Ismay was a villain, but you like to have your opinions challenged, good on you, you may want to check this book out. Another is called Titanic Children, Eyewitnesses to History by Anthony Cunningham. It's a book that profiles each and every child who was on board the Titanic, or even ones who watched the ship depart, or were there in Southampton or Belfast when she was built. It's an excellent book if you're a teacher and want to share it with your class, or if you have young kids who are just getting interested in the Titanic and want something for them to relate to, because it's the story of the Titanic exclusively through their eyes. A link to that is in the description below. Bob Chalk has his new book out about the SS Atlantic disaster, which has even further details than the previous one that he co-wrote with Greg Kochkinoff. Alan Patera, the archaeologist and author whom I accompanied on his expedition into the Alum Creek Canyon, has also published his book, which includes the story of our trip into the canyon, as well as the history of Palmetto, Sylvania, and Tule Canyon in Nevada. This book, as well as his other books, are all worth looking into if you enjoy the stories of the West. And lastly, I don't usually have time to read fiction, but this is historical fiction, and this one is very well done. It's called Hold Fast by J. H. Galanter, and it is about an English spy during the Napoleonic Wars, who infiltrates France, and I won't go too much into detail, but it gives a great job detailing even down to the minor details of what life was like in the late 1700s, early 1800s in France during Napoleon's time. I believe it took place in between some of the wars, but you can tell that the author really knew his stuff and really understood the social and political climate of the time. It has naval battles, it has espionage, it is essentially James Bond set in the early 1800s. Do please check those books out if you have any interest. And the last update, which I have intentionally saved for last because I like to downplay my personal life, but I can't help but share it, I'm going to be a father. It's a baby boy we just recently found out in the past couple of days, healthy and due in August. Naturally, this will take away some of my time to produce videos and also explains why Lusitania may be a few weeks late. Emma has been a huge help in making all of these videos. She helps edit them, she helps film them, and this baby will take away a lot of her time too because she is heavily involved in the process. So that's what's going on with me. I hope you have the opportunity to tune in to the live stream tomorrow night. If you don't, it will be archived as a video that you can watch back later. It is the Titanic's anniversary. I have a playlist of the Titanic videos that we've produced in the past down below. Everything from retracing Thomas Andrews' footsteps to the Odyssey of Lifeboat 2, and even the story of the telegraph operator on the cable ship Minia, which recovered some of the Titanic's dead. Please check out my Patreon and consider joining, and look into those books if any of them have piqued your interest. Thank you very much for watching. Have a happy Holy Week if you celebrate, and take care of yourself. Thank you.